Time can pull people apart, but it can also sharpen who they are. This story is about what happens when old feelings meet new lives. Two enemies turned lovers. This is what it looks like when forever finds you. The champagne tasted like loneliness. Logan Raymond stood on the terrace of the Fontainebleau Miami Beach, watching his best friend Marcus spin his new bride across the dance floor. The Atlantic whispered against the shore below, and the Miami sunset painted everything gold. The Art Deco architecture, the palm trees swaying in the breeze, the beautiful faces surrounding him, everything except the hollow space in his chest. Logan, a blonde in a red dress, materialized at his elbow, her perfume expensive, her smile practiced. "I've been looking everywhere for you." He couldn't remember her name. Couldn't remember if they'd met at his office, at last week's charity gala, or if she was just another woman who'd heard about Logan Raymond. The 35-year-old tycoon with blue eyes, dark hair, and a reputation that preceded him into every room in Miami. "Excuse me," he said, his voice smooth, polished, empty. "I need some air." He already had air. What he needed was an escape from the performance of his own life. The terrace stretched along the ocean, string lights casting warm glows over tables draped in ivory linens. Logan found himself at the far end, gripping the railing, staring at the waves. 35 years old, an empire built from nothing, hotels, real estate, investments that made him wealthier than his father ever dreamed. And for what? To come home to a penthouse that echoed? To attend weddings alone while people whispered about which model or socialite he'd brought last month. He was tired, bone-deep tired of being Logan Raymond, Miami's most eligible bachelor, most profitable conquest, best story to tell your friends. Well, Logan Raymond at a wedding. "I'm shocked you're not the groom, considering how often you practice." The voice hit him like a lightning strike, sharp, intelligent, cutting through the noise of the reception. He turned and there she was, Sharon Walter. 10 years vanished in a heartbeat. She stood 5 feet away, holding a glass of wine, wearing an emerald dress that hugged curves he had no business noticing. Her skin was deep brown, luminous in the fading light, and her natural curls framed a face that was somehow more beautiful than he remembered. High cheekbones, full lips curved in a smirk that said she knew exactly what effect she had on him. Her dark eyes met his with the same competitive fire that had driven him crazy in university. Sharon, her name came out, rougher than he intended. "Still remember my name?" "I'm flattered. I assumed I was just another face you forgot after graduation." There it was, the cut, the reminder. They'd spent 4 years at University of Miami, trying to destroy each other. Top of every class, fighting over every internship, every professor's attention, every award. Academic warfare. Until that night in the library, senior year, when he'd found her crying over her laptop at 2 a.m., and everything had shifted. They'd talked until dawn, almost kissed, almost admitted that the hatred was something else entirely. Then pride had poisoned it, a misunderstanding about a recommendation letter, accusations thrown like grenades, and they'd graduated without speaking again. "I remember everything about you," Logan said quietly. Something flickered in her eyes, surprise maybe, before the armor snapped back into place. "How unfortunate for you." She moved to walk past him. Without thinking, he caught her wrist. Her skin was warm, and he felt her pulse jump under his fingers. "Don't," his voice dropped. "Don't walk away. Not again." Sharon looked at his hand on her wrist, then at his face. "You're the one who walked away, Logan, or don't you remember calling me a backstabbing? I was 25 and an idiot, and now you're 35 and a playboy." "Such growth," says the woman who's here alone. It was a guess, but her flinch confirmed it. "What happened to that finance guy you were dating? The one from the alumni newsletter?" Her jaw tightened. "What happened to respecting boundaries? You never respected mine. You never had any." They stood there, electric tension crackling between them, neither willing to back down. The reception continued behind them. Laughter, music, the clinking of glasses, celebrating love Logan wasn't sure he believed in anymore. "Why are you alone, Sharon?" The question came out softer than he meant it. She pulled her wrist free but didn't move away. "Why are you?" I asked first, and I don't owe you answers. But her voice wavered just slightly. "I came to celebrate Jasmine's happiness. That's all." "Jasmine was your roommate sophomore year." Sharon's eyes widened. "How do you?" "I told you." I remember everything. Logan stepped closer, close enough to smell her perfume. Something with jasmine and vanilla that made his head spin. Logan, you hate weddings. You called weddings expensive promises people can't keep. You said you'd rather invest in real estate than a ring. Maybe I've changed, have you? She stared at him, and for a moment the noise of the party faded. It was just them, the ocean, and 10 years of unfinished business, crackling in the space between their bodies. You haven't, she finally said, changed. You're still the same arrogant entrepreneur. Visionary, devastatingly handsome. He flashed the smile that usually got him anything he wanted. Playboy. I was going to say playboy, but her lips twitched, fighting a smile. I read about you, about your exploits. Don't believe everything you read, so you're not dating half of Miami's socialite population. Not currently. I'm between disasters. That surprised a laugh out of her. Genuine, unguarded. The sound hit him in the chest like a physical thing. When was the last time someone had laughed with him instead of at his jokes? Between disasters, Sharon repeated, shaking her head. That's one way to describe your love life. What about yours? Logan knew he was pushing, but he couldn't stop. You're brilliant, beautiful, successful. Why are you here alone, Sharon Walter? Her smile faded. In the golden light, he saw shadows in her eyes. Old hurts, new ones. Because I'm tired of trusting the wrong people. The honesty gutted him. No deflection, no armor. Just raw truth. I'm tired too, he heard himself say. Tired of celebrating everyone else's love story while he gestured vaguely at himself. This. Rich, powerful? The envy of every man in Miami? Alone, the word hung between them. I'm alone, Sharon. I built everything I wanted. And it means nothing because there's no one to... He stopped, shocked at his own vulnerability. She studied his face, really looked at him, like she was solving one of her complex equations. You're serious. I'm always serious about what matters. And what matters, Logan, right now? He held her gaze. Finding out why I haven't been able to stop thinking about you for 10 years. Sharon's breath caught. He watched her pupils dilate, watched her grip tighten on her wine glass. You don't mean that. I never say things I don't mean. You know that about me. I know you're a playboy who's tired of playing, who realized that every woman I've dated was just a distraction from the one I let get away. Logan stepped closer, close enough to see gold flecks in her dark eyes. Give me your number. Absolutely not. One coffee. One conversation. We're having a conversation now. One where you're not running away. I'm not running. You're about to. He could see it in her eyes, the fear, the walls going up. Don't, please. Sharon looked at him for a long moment. The ocean breathed behind them. Music drifted from the reception. Somewhere Marcus was probably looking for his best man. I don't trust you, she finally said. I know. You'll hurt me, maybe. Or maybe we'll hurt each other. Maybe we'll crash and burn. Logan's voice dropped to almost a whisper. Or maybe we'll finally finish what we started in that library. Her eyes flashed. Nothing started in that library. Liar, arrogant. Give me your number. Sharon, no, but she didn't walk away. And when their eyes met, Logan saw it, the same fire, the same possibility, the same dangerous what-if that had terrified them both a decade ago. The music swelled. The party continued. And Logan Raymond, Miami's most notorious playboy, stood on a terrace at sunset, finally understanding what he'd been missing. Her, his endgame. Logan hadn't stopped thinking about her for 2 weeks. 2 weeks of staring at blank contracts during board meetings. 2 weeks of his assistant asking if he was feeling well. 2 weeks of lying awake in his brickled penthouse, watching Miami's lights glitter across Biscayne Bay, replaying the way Sharon had looked at him on that terrace, like she wanted to run and stay in equal measure. She hadn't given him her number, but she hadn't said she never would. He'd built an empire on patience and strategy. Sharon Walter would be no different. Sir, your 10 a.m. is here, his assistant chirped through the intercom. Logan barely heard her. He was staring at his laptop screen, at the article he'd found about Sharon's art consulting firm. She'd done it, built something remarkable, just like she'd always said she would. Her client list read like Miami's who's who. And there was a photo of her at a gallery opening, wearing black, her smile professional but her eyes guarded. Still running, he thought. Still hiding. He closed the laptop and made a decision. Wynwood walls blazed with color under the late morning sun. Murals stretched across warehouse facades, vibrant, chaotic, alive. Logan walked through the outdoor gallery, hands in his pockets, pretending he belonged among the artists and tourists with their cameras. He knew she'd be here. Her calendar had mentioned a client meeting at a gallery 2 blocks away. He'd done his research, and there she was. Sharon stood before a massive mural of a phoenix, rising from flames, her head tilted, studying it with that intense focus he remembered from university. She wore a cream blouse and high-waisted black pants, her curls pulled back, gold hoops catching the light. She looked professional, untouchable, beautiful. Logan's heart kicked against his ribs. He approached slowly, stopping beside her, close enough that she'd notice, but not close enough to crowd. The symbolism's a bit obvious, don't you think? Sharon's head whipped toward him, her dark eyes widening. You've got to be kidding me. I prefer fatefully coincidental. Stalking, I prefer stalking. But color rose in her cheeks, and he caught the way her gaze flickered over him. The navy suit he'd chosen because she'd once said blue made his eyes unfair. I'm a businessman in Wynwood. Hardly a crime. Your office is in Brickell. I have interests everywhere. He gestured at the mural. Including art. This piece speaks to me. Since when do you care about street art? Since I realized the most interesting things happen outside boardrooms. Logan turned to face her fully. Coffee? I have a meeting. In an hour, I checked. Sharon's jaw dropped. How did you? I'm very resourceful when I'm interested in something. You mean someone, especially someone. He smiled, the one that didn't quite reach his eyes, the one that said he knew he was being ridiculous and didn't care. 1 coffee, Sharon? You drink it black with 1 sugar. We'll go to that place on North Miami Avenue you like, the one with the Cuban pastries. She stared at him like he'd grown a second head. How do you know all this? I told you. I remember everything about you. Logan stepped closer, lowering his voice. I remember that you take your coffee at exactly 9 a.m. I remember you stress-eat guava pastelitos when you're nervous. I remember the way you used to bite your bottom lip when you were solving a problem. And Sharon, he watched her teeth catch her lip, proving his point. You're doing it right now. Her hand flew to her mouth. This is insane, probably. You're supposed to be a playboy. Who doesn't remember women's names? I'm trying something new. It's called actually giving a damn. Sharon's breath caught. For a moment, she just looked at him, and Logan saw the war happening behind her eyes. Curiosity versus self-preservation, want versus fear. 1 coffee, she finally said, and if you say 1 creepy thing, you'll throw it in my face. I'm aware. He offered his arm. Shall we? She didn't take it, but she walked beside him, and that felt like victory. Zuma Miami was a mistake. Logan had meant to take her for simple coffee, but he'd passed the restaurant on the way and thought, why not? Why not show her he could do more than club appearances and yacht parties? Why not prove he'd changed? Sharon stopped dead when the valet opened the door. This isn't coffee. They have excellent coffee. Logan, please. The word came out more vulnerable than he intended. Let me do this. Let me show you I'm serious. Something shifted in her expression. She studied his face, really studied it, and whatever she saw there made her nod. They were seated on the terrace overlooking the Miami River, the city skyline gleaming in the distance. Sharon ordered coffee, black, 1 sugar, and Logan watched her pretend not to notice him watching her. So, she said, breaking the silence, you ambush me at Wynwood, know my schedule, and bring me to one of Miami's most expensive restaurants. Should I be flattered or file a restraining order? Can't it be both? That earned him a smile, small but real. You're different. From what? From the Logan Raymond in the tabloids. From the man at the wedding. She paused. From the boy in university. People change, do they? Her eyes darkened. Or do they just get better at hiding who they really are? There it was. The wound. Logan set down his coffee, leaning forward. Who hurt you, Sharon? We're not. Someone did. Someone made you believe people don't change. That trust is a weakness. His voice gentled. Tell me, why? So you can add it to your research file? So I can understand why the most fearless woman I ever met is terrified of 1 coffee date. Sharon flinched. Her hands tightened around her cup, knuckles standing out against her brown skin. His name was Ralph, my ex-fiancé. 3 years ago. Logan's chest tightened. What happened? I introduced him to everyone. My family, my colleagues, my clients. He was charming, ambitious. Said he loved me. She laughed, but it sounded like breaking glass. Turns out he loved my connections more. He was using my client relationships to build his own business. When I found out, when I confronted him, he left. Just walked away like our entire relationship had been a transaction. Sharon, then there was David, the architect. He seemed different, genuine. Her voice hardened. He was married. I was the other woman, and I didn't even know it until his wife showed up at my office. Logan wanted to find these men, wanted to destroy them for putting that look in her eyes. After that, I decided I was done, Sharon continued. Done trusting, done hoping. I built my business, focused on work, and stopped believing in. She gestured vaguely between them. This, whatever this is me trying to prove I'm not them. But how do I know that? Her eyes met his, raw with old pain. How do I know I'm not just another Logan Raymond conquest? Another story for your friends? He reached across the table, covering her hand with his. She didn't pull away. Because I'm the one who's scared here, Sharon. You think I do this? Chase women? Beg for coffee dates? I haven't cared about someone's opinion of me since... He stopped, swallowed, since you... Don't, her voice cracked. Don't say things like that. Why not? Because I want to believe you. And that terrifies me. Logan's thumb rested on her wrist, feeling her pulse race beneath his touch. I know about being alone, Sharon. I know about building something incredible and coming home to nothing. Every deal I close, every property I acquire, I think, who am I doing this for? And the answer is always the same. No one. You have everything. I have nothing that matters. He held her gaze. I watched Marcus marry the love of his life 2 weeks ago, and all I could think was I've wasted 10 years. 10 years running from the one person who ever made me feel like I was more than my bank account. Sharon's eyes glistened. Logan, I'm not asking you to trust me. Not yet. I'm asking you to let me earn it. His voice dropped. One day at a time. One coffee, one conversation, one moment where I prove I'm not going anywhere. And if you break my heart, then I'll deserve whatever you do to me. He smiled, but his eyes were serious. But I won't. Because you're not another conquest, Sharon. You're my endgame. The word hung between them. Endgame, final forever. Sharon pulled her hand back slowly, but her eyes never left his. I have a gallery event. Tomorrow night. Paris Art Museum. Are you inviting me? I'm saying if someone happened to show up with my favorite coffee, the fancy kind from that place in Coral Gables, I wouldn't throw them out. Logan's heart slammed against his ribs. What time? 7? She stood, gathering her purse, but paused. And Logan, if you hurt me, I won't just throw coffee in your face. I'll destroy you. Fair. She walked away, hips swaying, head high. But she looked back once, and the promise in her eyes nearly brought him to his knees. Logan sat alone on the terrace, Miami gleaming around him. And for the first time in 10 years, he felt something close to hope. Logan showed up at Perez Art Museum at 6:45 p.m. with Sharon's favorite coffee, a cortadito from that tiny Cuban cafe in Coral Gables she'd mentioned once, years ago in passing. He'd driven 40 minutes in Miami traffic to get it. The museum sat on Biscayne Bay, all modern architecture and glass, the water reflecting pink and orange from the setting sun. He found her on the terrace overlooking the bay, reviewing notes with a client, her hair swept up, wearing a black dress that made his mouth go dry. She saw him, froze mid-sentence, then excused herself. You came, she said, approaching him slowly like he might disappear. You invited me. He offered the coffee. Still hot. Sharon took it, her fingers brushing his, and that small touch sent electricity up his arm. She sipped, closed her eyes. You remembered. I remember everything. You keep saying that, 'cause it keeps being true. Logan watched her savor the coffee, watched the Miami skyline paint gold across her skin. You look stunning. Don't what? Tell the truth? Don't make this harder than it already is. But color rose in her cheeks, and when she looked at him, something in her gaze had softened since yesterday. I have to work. But after, I'll wait. It could be hours, Sharon. He stepped closer. I'll wait. It was 3 hours. Logan spent them wandering the museum, pretending to appreciate contemporary art while actually watching Sharon work. She was brilliant, the way she spoke to clients, the passion in her voice when she described a piece, the confidence she radiated. This was her world, and she commanded it. When the last guest left, she found him standing before a massive canvas of a storm-tossed ocean. "Fitting choice," she said softly. "Why's that?" "Because that's what this feels like. You and me, a storm." Logan turned to face her. "Is that bad?" "I don't know yet." She set down her empty coffee cup. "Walk with me." They left the museum, walking along the Baywalk as night settled over Miami. The city glowed. Downtown skyscrapers, the port's lights reflecting on black water. The air was warm, humid, carrying salt and possibility. They walked in comfortable silence for a while, just the sound of water lapping against the seawall and distant music from the bay. "I keep thinking about that night," Sharon said softly. "In the library. Senior year." Logan's steps slowed. "Yeah? You found me crying over my laptop. I'd just gotten off the phone with my mom. She was sick, and I was trying to balance everything. School, work, taking care of her from a distance." She paused. "You didn't leave. You stayed with me until sunrise. I remember." His voice was quiet. "You told me about growing up watching her work 3 jobs just to keep you in school. How she'd fall asleep at the kitchen table, with bills spread out around her." Sharon stopped walking, turning to face him. Logan met her eyes. "Your mom taught you that success meant something, that it wasn't just about money. It was about lifting others up with you." "She did." Sharon's voice thickened. "She passed 2 years ago, I know. I sent flowers." Anonymously, he looked almost embarrassed. "I didn't think you'd want to hear from me, but I needed you to know someone cared." Sharon's breath caught. "The white orchids, with the note that said she raised a warrior. That was you?" Logan nodded. Tears welled in her eyes. "I kept that note. I thought, I didn't know who." She pressed her hand to her mouth. "Why didn't you tell me it was you?" "Because you deserved to grieve without me complicating it." He stepped closer. "And because I was a coward. I wanted to be there for you, but I didn't know if I had the right." "You always had the right, Logan." Her voice broke. "Even when I hated you, you always had the right." Her eyes were bright with unshed tears. "Don't look at me like that," he said roughly. "Like what?" "Like I'm not the villain you want me to be." "Maybe you never were." She stepped closer. "Maybe I was just too scared to see it." The air between them changed, charged, dangerous. Logan could hear his heartbeat, could see her pulse fluttering at her throat. "Sharon." She looked up at him, and the vulnerability in her eyes nearly destroyed him. "You scare me, Logan, I know, because I want to believe you. I want to believe this is real. It is real." He cupped her face, his thumb tracing her cheekbone. "This is the most real thing I've felt in years. What if you wake up tomorrow and realize I'm not worth the chase? What if I don't?" His voice dropped. "What if I wake up every day for the rest of my life, grateful you gave me a chance?" Sharon's breath hitched. "You can't promise that. Watch me." He kissed her. Soft at first, testing, giving her room to pull away. But she didn't. She melted into him, her hands fisting in his shirt, and Logan felt like he'd been hit by lightning. 10 years of wanting, of wondering, of pretending he didn't care. All of it burned away in the heat of her mouth on his. She tasted like coffee and courage, and when she made a small sound in the back of her throat, Logan pulled her closer, one hand tangling in her hair, the other at the small of her back. The kiss deepened, turned desperate, and he understood. This was what he'd been missing. Not just desire, but connection. Not just heat, but home. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Sharon pressed her forehead to his chest. "This is crazy," she whispered. "Probably. I don't do crazy." "Neither do I. We can be crazy together." He tilted her chin up. "Come sailing with me tomorrow. Just us, Logan. Please, let me show you more. Let me prove this isn't just chemistry." She searched his face, and he let her see everything, the hope, the fear, the desperate need for this to be different. "Okay," she breathed. "Okay." Key Biscayne was paradise. They sailed out in the morning, Miami shrinking behind them. Nothing but blue water and sunshine and the two of them. Sharon laughed, really laughed, when spray hit her face and Logan couldn't stop staring. They anchored in a quiet cove, swam in water so clear he could see her toes, ate sandwiches on the deck and talked about everything. Her dreams of opening more galleries, his plans to build affordable housing, the books they loved, the music that saved them. "I was so jealous of you in university. Sharon admitted, lying on the deck beside him. Both of them drying in the sun. Of me. You were top of our class, Logan said. You were brilliant without trying. I had to work for every A and you'd just understand things. She turned her head to look at him. I hated how easy it was for you. How you use your charm. It wasn't easy. I just hid the struggle better. Logan reached for her hand. You made me better. Competing with you pushed me further than I'd ever gone. Is that why you couldn't let me go? I couldn't let you go because that night in the library I saw you. Really saw you. And every woman after felt like a pale imitation. Sharon's eyes glistened. I cried for weeks after graduation. After our fight. So did I. Logan Raymond cried. Don't sound so shocked. I'm human. He squeezed her hand. I'm also an idiot who wasted 10 years being too proud to reach out. I wasn't exactly easy to find. I avoided alumni events. Because of me? Because seeing you with other women would have killed me. The admission seemed to surprise her as much as him. I saw photos. The models, the socialites. You looked happy. I was miserable. Logan sat up, pulling her with him. Every single one of them wasn't you. Sharon straddled his lap, her dress pooling around them, her hands on his shoulders. What are we doing, Logan? I don't know. But I don't want to stop. He traced the curve of her spine. Do you? I'm terrified. Of what? Of how much I already feel. Of how badly this could hurt. Her voice broke. I can't be another one of your mistakes. You won't be. Logan cradled her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. You're not a date, Sharon. You're not a fling. You're my endgame. You always were. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Promise me. I promise. Promise me you won't leave. Promise me this is real. This is real. I'm real. And I'm not going anywhere. He kissed her tears away. I'm falling in love with you, Sharon Walter. I've been falling for 10 years. She sobbed, a broken, beautiful sound, and kissed him hard. The boat rocked gently. The sun blazed overhead, and Logan held her as she finally let herself believe. A week became 2. 2 became a month. They were inseparable. Dinners in Little Havana, dancing at clubs where no one recognized them, quiet nights on his penthouse balcony, watching Miami breathe below. Sharon met his business partners, met his parents. But the fear lingered in Sharon's eyes. Logan saw it when she thought he wasn't looking. The waiting for the other shoe to drop. For him to prove her right. One night, 3 months in, it came to a head. They were at Vizcaya Museum and Gardens for a charity gala. The Italian Renaissance estate lit up like a dream. Classical music drifting through formal gardens. Sharon wore burgundy, and Logan couldn't take his eyes off her, until he saw her talking to a man who stood too close. Logan approached. Jealousy he had no right to feel coiling in his gut. Sharon. She turned, and he saw tears on her eyes. What's wrong? Nothing. She looked at the man, who Logan now recognized as her ex-fiancé Ralph. I need air. Logan followed her into the gardens, past the fountains and statues, until they were alone under the stars. Talk to me, he said. He congratulated me on finding someone who actually cares. Sharon laughed bitterly. And all I could think was, for how long? How long until you think I'm not enough? Sharon, every man I've ever trusted has left. Every single one. She turned to face him, tears streaming. You say you love me, but love doesn't last, Logan. It fades. And when it does, when you wake up bored or distracted or just done, I won't survive it. Logan's heart shattered. He closed the distance between them, gripping her shoulders. Look at me, I can't. Look at me. When she did, he continued, his voice fierce. I have spent 10 years alone. 10 years building an empire that meant nothing. 10 years watching other people find what I'd thrown away because I was too stupid and proud to fight for you the first time. Logan, I'm not him. I'm not any of them. He cupped her face, thumbs wiping her tears. I'm the man who's been in love with you since we were 20s. I'm the man who waited 10 years for a second chance. I'm the man who wakes up every morning grateful you're still in my life. How do I believe that? Because I'm done being a playboy. Done with the parties and the pretending. I want you, Sharon, just you, for the rest of my life. She stared at him, breathing hard, tears still falling. You mean that? I've never meant anything more. Logan dropped to one knee. Sharon gasped. What are you? I don't have a ring. I wasn't planning this. He took her hands. But I know, Sharon. I know with everything I am that you're it. You're my forever. So yes, I'm terrified too. Terrified of messing this up. Terrified of losing you. But I'm more terrified of not trying. Logan, marry me. Not now, not tomorrow, but someday. When you're ready. When you believe me. His voice cracked. Just don't give up on us, please. Sharon dropped to her knees in front of him, framing his face with her hands. You really love me, more than anything. I love you too. God help me, I love you so much it terrifies me. Logan kissed her, soft, reverent, pouring everything he felt into it. When they broke apart, both crying now, he whispered against her lips, is that a yes? It's a ask me again in 6 months when I'm less scared. He laughed, pulling her close. Deal. They stayed there in the gardens, holding each other. Two broken people choosing to be brave, choosing love, choosing forever. 8 months later, Logan Raymond stood on the deck of his yacht as the sun melted into Biscayne Bay, painting the Miami sky in shades of gold and crimson. His hands were shaking. Sharon stood at the bow watching the city skyline, the wind catching her curls. She wore a simple white sundress, and she'd never looked more beautiful. Sharon. His voice came out rough. She turned, and when she saw him, really saw him, her breath caught. Logan, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong. He walked toward her, each step feeling monumental. Everything's right. For the first time in my life, everything is exactly right. You're scaring me. Don't be scared. He stopped in front of her, taking her hands. They were warm, steady, real. Do you remember what I asked you 8 months ago in the gardens? Her eyes widened. Logan, you said ask again in 6 months. It's been 8. He dropped to one knee, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. Sharon Walter, you saved me from a life half-lived. You made me believe in love, in forever, in something bigger than empire and success. You're my best friend, my greatest challenge, my home. Tears spilled down her cheeks as he opened the box. A simple diamond that caught the sunset, surrounded by smaller emeralds, the color of the dress she'd worn the night they collided. Marry me, he whispered. Let me spend the rest of my life proving you chose right. Let me love you the way you deserve. Let me, yes. The word broke from her lips like a prayer. Yes, God, yes. Logan's hands trembled as he slid the ring onto her finger. Then she was in his arms, both of them crying and laughing, and the city of Miami bore witness to a playboy finally finding his forever. I love you, Sharon sobbed against his neck. I love you so much. I love you more. He pulled back just enough to kiss her, tasting salt and joy and promise. You're mine now. I was always yours. She laughed through her tears. Even when I hated you, I was yours. Good, because I'm never letting you go. The wedding took place 3 months later on a private estate in Star Island, palms swaying in the ocean breeze, the Atlantic stretching endless and blue behind them. 50 people, just family and close friends, gathered as Logan watched Sharon walk down the aisle. She was radiant. Her dress was simple ivory silk that hugged her curves before flowing to the sand, her curls crowned with white orchids, her dark eyes locked on his. And Logan, 6'2", built and broad-shouldered in his blue tuxedo, blue eyes bright with unshed tears, couldn't breathe. This was real. She was real. This impossible, beautiful, terrifying love was real. When she reached him, he took her hands, and they were shaking as badly as his. Hi, she whispered. Hi. He smiled through his tears. You look. Don't make me cry yet. We haven't even started, the officiant began, but Logan barely heard the words. He was too busy memorizing Sharon's face, the way the sun caught the gold in her eyes, the curve of her smile, the absolute trust shining through despite every reason she had to be afraid. Then it was time for vows. Logan cleared his throat, squeezing her hands. Sharon, 10 years ago, I let pride destroy the best thing that ever happened to me. I spent a decade building an empire, while my heart stayed empty. Then you walked back into my life, and I understood I'd been waiting. Waiting for you to give me another chance, waiting to become the man worthy of you. Sharon's tears spilled over, but she didn't look away. You terrify me, Logan continued, his voice cracking, because loving you means I finally have something to lose. But I choose it anyway. I choose you every day for the rest of my life. I promise to protect your heart the way you've protected mine. I promise to be worthy of your trust. I promise to love you fiercely, completely, forever. Sharon was openly crying now. She took a shaky breath. Logan, you were my enemy before you were my friend. My rival before you were my love. And maybe that's why this works. Because we've seen each other at our worst and chose each other anyway. Logan's vision blurred. You taught me to be brave again, Sharon said. To trust again, to believe that love doesn't always end in heartbreak. You showed up with coffee, you remembered everything, you fought for me when I was too scared to fight for myself. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I promise to choose you even when I'm scared. I promise to trust you with my heart. I promise to love you completely, fearlessly, forever. I now pronounce you husband and wife, the officiant said, smiling. You may kiss your bride. Logan didn't wait. He pulled Sharon close, kissing her deeply while their guests erupted in applause. When they broke apart, both laughing through tears, he pressed his forehead to hers. My wife, he breathed. My husband, Sharon grinned. How does it feel? Like coming home? The honeymoon was a private Caribbean island. Untouched, pristine, theirs alone for 2 weeks. They spent the first day exploring, and that's when they found it, hidden deep in the island's interior. Past emerald jungle and volcanic rock formations, a crystal-clear lagoon waited. Water so transparent Logan could see white sand beneath it, surrounded by black volcanic stones covered in moss and tropical greenery. A small waterfall cascaded from the rocks above, feeding the pool, creating a natural symphony. It's perfect, Sharon breathed, standing at the edge. Logan came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist, chin on her shoulder. Not as perfect as you, smooth talker. But she leaned back into him. Think it's safe to swim? Only one way to find out. She turned in his arms, and something in her eyes made his heart stutter. This was it, their first night as husband and wife. They'd waited, both wanting their wedding night to mean something, to be sacred. I'm nervous, Sharon admitted softly. So am I. Logan cupped her face. But it's you, it's us. It's perfect. She kissed him slow and deep, and he felt her trembling. They undressed each other carefully, reverently, each piece of clothing a promise shed. Then they were skin to skin, walking into the warm crystal water together. The lagoon embraced them. Logan pulled Sharon close, water lapping at their waists, sunlight filtering through the jungle canopy above, dappling her brown skin with gold. She was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. I love you, he whispered, kissing her temple, her cheek, her jaw. Show me. Her voice was breathless. Please, Logan, show me. He kissed her then, deep, consuming. 10 years of wanting poured into the slide of his mouth against hers. His hands traced the curve of her spine, learning every inch of skin he'd dreamed about, while she gasped against his lips. Sharon's fingers tangled in his dark hair, pulling him closer, desperate, and he groaned at the feel of her body pressed to his. I've waited so long for you. Logan breathed against her throat, tasting water and salt and her. His lips traveled lower, across her collarbone, learning the places that made her arch into him. So damn long. Then don't make me wait anymore, Sharon whispered, her dark eyes fierce with need. He lifted her, and she wrapped her legs around his waist, both of them trembling. They moved to the shallow edge, where smooth volcanic rock met crystal water. Logan sat on the submerged stone, Sharon straddling him, their hearts pounding against each other. Look at me, he commanded softly, his blue eyes burning into hers. I want to see you. All of you. Sharon cupped his face, her hands shaking. He kissed her palms, her wrists, her racing pulse. I've got you. I'll always have you. She lowered herself onto him slowly, and they both gasped, overwhelmed, overcome. Logan's hands gripped her hips, steadying her. His forehead pressed to hers as she took him completely. Oh, Sharon, he groaned, his voice wrecked. You're perfect. So perfect. She began to move, and Logan thought he might die from the beauty of it. The way she looked at him with absolute trust, the way her body fit his like they were made for this moment. His hands roamed everywhere. Her back, her breasts, her thighs, worshipping every inch while she rode him slowly, tortuously. Faster, she breathed, and he obeyed, guiding her hips, meeting her rhythm. The water splashed around them. The waterfall sang, and they moved together like a prayer, like a promise finally kept. Logan's mouth found her breast, and Sharon cried out, her head falling back, curls cascading down her back. He lavished attention there, teeth grazing, tongue soothing, until she was trembling and incoherent above him. Logan, her voice broke. I can't. Let go, baby, he urged, one hand sliding between their bodies, finding that perfect spot. Let go for me. She shattered with his name on her lips, her body clenching around him, and the sight of her, Head thrown back, skin glowing, completely his, sent Logan over the edge. He thrust up hard, burying himself deep, and came undone inside her, groaning her name like a benediction. They clung to each other in the aftermath, both shaking, both breathing hard, overwhelmed by the intimacy of it all. That was, Sharon couldn't finish the sentence. Everything. Logan breathed against her skin. That was everything. She pulled back to look at him, tears mixing with the water on her face. Was it worth the wait? Logan cupped her face, his eyes fierce and tender at once. Every second, every moment of restraint, every night I dreamed of you. He kissed her softly. You were worth everything. Sharon kissed him back deep and slow and felt him stir inside her again. Her eyes widened. Logan, we have 2 weeks, he said, his voice dropping to that dangerous tone that made her pulse race. And I plan to make up for every single night I didn't have you. He lifted her, carrying her to a different spot in the pool, where the water was deeper, where he could move more freely. And as the Caribbean sun blazed overhead and the waterfall sang its ancient song, Logan Raymond made love to his wife again, slower this time, more tender, but no less passionate. They christened that crystal pool 3 more times that afternoon, unable to get enough of each other. Years of wanting finally unleashed. And each time was different. Desperate then tender, rough then gentle, always passionate, always perfect. When they finally emerged, both exhausted and boneless, Sharon collapsed on the soft moss beside the pool, Logan immediately pulling her into his arms. I can't feel my legs, she laughed breathlessly. Good. Logan kissed her temple. His hand possessively splayed across her stomach. Because we're doing that again tonight. And tomorrow. And every day for the rest of our lives. Sharon turned in his arms, her eyes bright with love and satisfaction. Thank you. For what? For waiting with me. For making it special. For making it, her voice caught, perfect. Logan pulled her closer, both of them still breathing hard. You were worth everything. Forever, he promised, sealing it with another kiss. Forever, she agreed. And the crystal pool held their sacred beginning, their perfect first, their forever. 3 years later, Logan woke to chaos. His daughter Emma, 2 years old with Sharon's eyes and his stubbornness, was jumping on the bed. His son Michael, her twin, with Logan's blue eyes and Sharon's smile, was trying to climb onto the nightstand. And their golden retriever, aptly named Chaos, was barking at both of them. Sharon, Logan groaned, reaching for his wife. She wasn't there. He found her in the kitchen of their Miami Beach home, the morning sun streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. Her hand on her swollen belly, 6 months pregnant with their third. She was humming, making coffee, and she'd never looked more beautiful. Logan leaned against the doorframe, just watching. His wife, his children. His home. You're staring, Sharon said without turning around. Can you blame me? She turned, smiling, and crossed to him. Logan pulled her close, carefully, always careful with her and their baby, and kissed her forehead. Remember when you said you were alone? Sharon whispered. When you thought you'd never have this. Every day. He splayed his hand over her belly, feeling their baby kick. Every single day I wake up grateful you gave me a chance. Best decision I ever made. She grinned. Even if you do leave your socks everywhere, I have other redeeming qualities, debatable. Logan laughed, pulling her closer. Behind them, the twins shrieked with laughter as chaos chased them. The Miami sun poured golden light across their home. And for a moment, everything was perfectly still. Was I worth the risk? Sharon asked, echoing the question from their honeymoon. Logan looked at his wife. The woman who'd saved him, challenged him, loved him when he didn't deserve it. He looked at his children, at the life they'd built, at the future growing inside her. You were worth everything, he whispered, kissing her deeply. My endgame, my forever, my home. Sharon melted into him, and Miami breathed around them, the city where a playboy and his enemy had collided, clashed and chose forever. Their forever. They started as enemies, their hearts divided by pride and past hurts, but time and fate brought them together. From rivalry to trust, from tension to passion, they found each other and finally forever. If you love this story, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more passionate stories. I remain Vintage Mike Tales,